educational. Okay, so I'm just going to do a round of check-ins. So please take 30 seconds to share any comments or questions you have from the last session. How did your buddy call go? Or any short report from any facilitation that you might have done. And I'm just going to call on people. Okay, so I'm going to start with the participants. Kathleen. Oh, and
Matthew.
If you could mute when
Please
you're not.
Give me a chance early.
Oh,
because of.
Okay, Matthew, would you please like to go?
Oh, sorry, you're muted,
Sometimes.
Matthew. There you go.
Yeah. So I actually want to say I'm grateful for this wonderful session of 5 weeks of training. I've met people, and for me, it's one of the high points of it. I had a body call with Sayantan from India, and it was great meeting Sayantan. We discussed a lot and we shared a lot of things. And like Valerie said, the memory cannot be wiped for a very long time. I want to say I'm grateful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Matthew. Thank you for attending. Thank you for being here. Okay, Kathleen.
Hi, everyone. Glad to be here for this last session with all of you. Just really looking forward to today. Every single session, whether it's in this meeting or just going to weekly ones, I learned something new about myself, about ways this can intersect in my life. And specifically last week, learned a lot about myself as an educator and how to be more empathetic in how I facilitate in a classroom from what I learned, and just so grateful to be here again. Thank you.
It's wonderful. Thank you so much, Kathleen. Thank you for being here. Oran.
Thank you, Valerie. Yeah, really glad to be here. I didn't manage to do an empathy buddy call this week. I've just been snowed under with other Zoom calls, but yeah, it has been amazing, this journey, and really taught me how to communicate and how to listen so much better. And yeah, really life-changing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Oran, and thank you so much for attending. Beata.
Hi, everyone. Nice to be here. I had a call with Leo. Lovely connection, really rich experience. And I was reflecting that when I speak from my passion or my truth, it really brings quality to my listening and speaking, and brings much more connection with the other. Thank you.
That's a wonderful insight. Thank you so much, Beata, and thank you so much for being here. DJ?
Yes, hello, everyone. I had 2 buddy calls, one with Crystal and one with Kathy Kidd, who has done the facilitator training before and is with the Peace Alliance. So thank you.
Thank you very much, DJ, and thank you so much for being here. John?
Hi, thanks. I had a buddy call with Shayantan in India, and we had a wonderful conversation. Learned a lot about him personally, and just a thrill to meet him and everyone else on the call. I'm gonna miss this quite a bit. Thank you.
That's so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing, John. Thank you so much for being here. Mervyn?
Hi, yeah, I had a call with Valerie, and that was nice. And yeah, it's been a really interesting process of this style of having short speaking and short reflections. It's very new to me, and I just find it a really enjoyable way of doing empathy. Before I was doing quite long sessions, I was finding them quite tiring. So I quite like this new way of doing things. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mervyn. Thank you so much for being here. Graham?
Thank you, Valerie. I look forward to today. There is, as all sorts of other people have said, so much to learn, and so much to learn about yourself. And I had an empathy buddy session with Wendy, which was very, very instructive and actually quite different. And I thank you all very much. And I look forward to things. Thank you.
Thank you, Graham. Thank you for being here. Diane?
Thank you, Valerie. Hi, everybody. I'm also going to miss this group. I had a great call with my buddy Colin, and I also led a circle with some friends that they seemed to find really valuable. So that was uplifting for me, and really appreciating having been part of this group. Looking forward to today. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Diane. Thank you so much for being here. Colin?
Hi, everyone. As you just heard, I had a buddy call with Diane, and it was a really good exchange. We also talked a bit about NVC and about mindful self-compassion as it applies to empathy. Yeah, so that was a great call. And also with Bill the other day, we had a buddy call. I just wanted to get his opinion on some of the challenges and how to best approach them. And that was thank you for your advice, Bill. And then also yesterday I had a chance to practice my empathy circle skills, empathic listening skills with the Defining Empathy project that everyone is leading. So yeah, that's me.
Thank you, Colin. Thank you for sharing, and thank you so much for being here. Tanya?
Yes, thank you, Valerie. I had a call with Sayanta, which was really good. I enjoyed it. And yeah, like everybody has said, I'm really going to miss Saturday evening. For me, it's evening time here. And I'm really going to miss the community. It's been really a pleasure to come every Saturday. So thank you.
Thank you, Tanya. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay. Leo?
Yes, I had a lovely chat with Beata, and I told her sometimes in education, it's what happens outside the classroom is more significant than the classroom. And so the buddy calls have been significant. And I thank my previous chat callers of Michael and Tanya and Mervyn and Beata today. So thank you for that opportunity to make one-on-one exchanges.
It's always amazing to make these connections. Thank you so much, Leo, and thank you so much for being here. Dorothy?
Hi. I'm sorry that I missed a couple of sessions, and I appreciate the openness of the group to receive me sporadically. But I'm glad to be here today. Did have an opportunity to practice to have buddy calls, so I really appreciated that. Keep me in the practice. Yesterday, I had an amazing call with Crystal, and I also spoke to Shayatan. So I had 2 buddy calls, and both calls were very uplifting, and got a chance to practice empathy, speech, and listening. And I did practice. I'm integrating the practice in everyday conversation, actually. So I had the chance to do it with my husband, my son, and the Greek community. So thank you.
That sounds wonderful. I think the conversation is definitely the next step after Empathy Circle. Thank you so much for sharing and for being here. Jonathan?
Well, hello, everybody can hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry. I had 2 buddy calls with Mike and Shayatan, and I was very found the process good because it was one-on-one, and so it was different than the group experience, and I enjoyed reflecting and speaking. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Jonathan. Thank you so much for being here. Crystal?
Yeah, I'm a little sad. This is the last day. I share Kathleen's sentiment and her learning the depth of what we've learned over the last 5 weeks, and starting with you, Valerie, in our first call that we had together in terms of the buddy calls. I think they're transformational, and certainly with Graham, wow, 5 stars, and DJ and Sayatan and Dorothy, and I think that's a beautiful progression of the empathy circle, and just thankful to be here again today.
Mhm. That's really beautiful. Thank you so much, Crystal, for sharing, and thank you so much for being here. Renato?
Hello, everybody. I'm now outside, but I can speak now. I had an empathy buddy call with Sayantan, and it was really, really nice talk. We just have some common interest in the wildlife, so I'm very glad that I have that he called me. And also I attended the empathy cafe, and I'm genuinely surprised. I noticed that I'm referred to a lot of participants in these empathy circles, and really like I feel like I have an impact on participants. That really feels like I'm worthy. I'm like worth. I have some worth. Those participants. So thank you very much for this episode.
Thank you so much, Renato. Your audio was cutting out a little bit, but what I really heard is that you developed a lot of worth, and it's just the impact of being a part of the empathy circle is very meaningful to you. If there's anything else, please feel free to put it in the chat. Okay, great. That's so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing, and thank you so much for being here. Are there any participants that I have missed before I move on to trainees? Oh, I think, Wendy, did I get to you?
Thank you, Valerie, for giving me this opportunity. Like various other people have said, it's going to be strange on a Saturday evening not to have this meeting. I had the opportunity for a very worthwhile buddy call with Graham, and I've had 3 young visitors at home, 2 5-year-olds and 8-year-old, and it's been absolutely fascinating trying to bring some of the skills that I feel I'm learning from this to my interaction with those 3 young children. Thank you.
Very interesting. Thank you so much for sharing, Wendy, and thank you so much for being here. Any participants that I may have accidentally left out? No? Okay, then I will move on to trainees. Tiffany? I think you're frozen.
Yeah.
And Tiffany. Oh.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here. I have enjoyed this journey with you all. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, Tiffany. It's been wonderful, and thank you for being here. Dwayne?
Excuse me. Hello, I'm happy to be here. I've been on a road trip, so I've driven 11 states in like 3.5 days. And now I'm at a space in Wisconsin for people who've lost a child. So I'm having an opportunity to use my empathic listening skills in the conversation. So it's a humbling and rewarding experience so far. But I'm also happy to be here for the last part of this journey, which again is really a beginning. And so I look forward to our conversations today.
Thank you very much, Dwayne. Thank you for sharing. And like Mike, I have to say, I keep mistaking you for a trainer. So, Sally, we're just doing check-ins. Would you like to check in?
Not yet. I'm eating something.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So, Mike?
Yes, I had, I went to the Empathy Cafe on Monday. That was wonderful. I love what Renato said about the sense of worth. I think that's exactly what I feel as well with these empathy circles. I had a great buddy call with Jonathan. I missed the empathy circle, the Extinction Rebellion circle on Thursday. I don't know if that's still going on. I think it was scheduled to happen, but anyhow, I'm very glad to be here and looking forward to a lot of empathy circles after today.
Thank you very much, Mike. Thank you so much for being here. Jana?
Hi, I'm really happy to be here today, and this is a beautiful group, and I had a beautiful buddy call this morning with Bill. My buddy wasn't available in India, so that was very sweet, and that's it.
Thank you, Jana. Thank you so much for being here. So Sally, we're just going to move on. Are you ready to share check-in?
Okay, I'm just swallowing, but well, yeah, I don't know what happened to my empathy person, and anyway, I guess Ann Jordan. Hopefully she'll do that at a different time. And so I had lots of empathy calls with Larry and Bill and Valerie and as many people as I could. Thank you.
Thank you, Sally. Thank you for sharing. And thank you so much for being here. So are there any trainees that I have left out accidentally? No. Okay, so I'll do my check-in. I had a really great week. It's been an amazing learning experience, and really looking forward to the next cohort that I can participate in, because this is just so very enriching, and I'm sad that I didn't get to do buddy calls with everybody, but I really enjoyed the buddy calls that I did do. So meaningful to me and very memorable. So thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for just your contribution and being here. So with that, I am going to pass it over to Anne.
Unmute myself. Thank you, Jana. I needed to unmute myself. Yes, so we had a question in the feedback about keeping boundaries. And I think the thing to say about that, the main thing is that the structure of the empathy circle is a boundary in itself. And we're bounded by the process, that structure that gives us structure in its just by its nature. And as you become more experienced as a facilitator, you'll find that you learn better how to maintain the boundaries of as you practice your facilitation. And I would always say to try to communicate those boundaries and expectations when you describe the process at the beginning of your empathy circle. In other words, in going over the how-to. We had another question about integrating empathic reflection into daily family life. And it is a big one, that one. But actually holding an empathy circle with your family and choosing a light topic that could be fun. For example, what's your best experience in the last month? Gives you a chance to do that, or just reflecting back sometimes in your conversation would be other examples of that. Does anybody have anything they'd like to add on that one? I know there are some people here who have more experience of using empathic reflection in family life. Any of the other trainers like to add in? I can't see you all, so speak up. No?
I would just say keep at it. It's more difficult with your own family. That's what I would say.
I've been doing it for a long time now, and well, I guess maybe you want to kind of aim for not the highs and the lows of explosive conversations. And yeah, so it is really hard in the beginning, and especially if your partner, well, it's like trying to get people to do it, but over the course of time, everyone in my family has been very excited with participating. So it takes time, and I think it's the block is really internal with trust in being able to do it yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Sally. I think too, like, trust yourself, be bold and give it a go, and you'll get some practice and experience, and then you'll go from there. I see Larry nodding. Did you want to add anything, Larry? Or
I love that, what Sally's saying. And, it's just, empathy is about, allowing people to be themselves and not trying to rearrange them or fix them or change them or correct them or judge them, right? It's just really the presence. Thank you.
thanks, Larry. We had another question about somebody expressing, for example, racism or another difficult view or judgment during a circle. And again, it goes back to the way to deal with this would be following the guidelines. And the guidelines are to remember that always people are free to speak freely when it's their turn to speak. And when they're doing that and taking turns, then obviously there are the limits built into the structure of the amount of time, and that it is a turn taking and to keep to the turn taking. And then any comments and feelings that are expressed are welcome, because often that is that person working out that way that they're judging people. Racism is a form of judgment, and there are many other forms of judgment, and simply reflecting back and giving the person the opportunity to be heard in their expression. You're not necessarily agreeing, you aren't agreeing with that, you're reflecting back what you hear, what you understand of what they say. Does any of the trainers like to add anything to that?
I'll add a quick comment. In terms
Thank you,
of,
Edwin.
a core part of the empathy circle is free speech. And when people share their judgments and they're reflected, they actually move past them. And you'll find that if you listen to people's judgments, reflect them, that they start putting them aside and say, oh, people are actually listening to me. And then it really gets to deeper to their heart, and you start developing an empathic relationship. I've done a lot of mediation, like out on the streets with political people who are at each other's throats, and they end up with hugs at the end of it. So it's just stay with the process. Yeah. Meet everybody with empathy. And it's a good practice for you too, to practice empathizing with difficult things that are being thrown at you. It's considered be grateful for the practice, I guess.
Yeah, and I think, adding into that, relaxing into the structure. If you stick with the structure as facilitator, you'll find yourself dealing with these things well and better than you might expect in a normal situation. We had another question, which was about the certificates and what do you need to do in order to get the certificate, whether or not it's compulsory to have buddy calls and how many, or do you need to have a certain number of empathy circles that you run? But in actual fact, the certificate is a certificate of your attendance, your full attendance to all the sessions in the training. So I think that answers that one. But of course, we encourage you to have the buddy calls because you will develop in your capacity as a facilitator with that experience in buddy calls and in facilitating circles and gaining confidence while you do it. Anybody else want to add anything? Maybe Edwin?
That was the essence of it. The certificate is just certificate of completion, just that you attended all 5 sessions, and the other is sort of more optional. The other aspects, buddy calls and holding empathy circles.
Okay, so that was the feedback, questions and issues. Thank you very much, everybody. And I'll pass on to the introduction to the breakout session, which is, who is it?
Jana.
Jana.
Yes, so this is just an empathy circle today in the breakout room. The circle is for integrating your experiences and learnings, also for gathering feedback about the benefits of the training. I'd like to hear what you will do next with empathy circle practice and training. So we'll post some topics to consider. Here they are from Edwin. Thank you. In the chat room. What are your most valuable learnings and benefits from this training? What are your next steps with applying empathy circles and building a culture of empathy, or whatever is alive for you? And we'll have 4-minute turns. And if someone would like to volunteer, one person to lead the breakout room empathy circle, it's really just timekeeping, so you can do that. And then we'll go until 15 minutes to the top of the hour. So we have a 45-minute debrief, and you will get a 10-minute warning before the end. Okay, so that's it. Breakout room.
Okay, so we're ready to go into the breakout room. And in the breakout room, one of the participants, so not a trainer or a trainee, a participant, you can volunteer to facilitate. And all you're doing is kind of holding the space and be the first listener, keep the time. And so this is your chance to actually facilitate your full, first full empathy circle. So we're going to go into the rooms. I think we're all set. You don't need to do the how to and all that because everyone knows how to do that. So you're just being the first listener and keeping time. So here we go. I think we're all set. See you in your rooms. Oh, Valerie, oops, Valerie. You see, Valerie, you were going to be somehow, you must have dropped out. Going to move you to room 2. There you go. Okay, there's 4 of us in this circle, and who would like to facilitate? One of the 3 of you can be the facilitator. Okay, you're up, Jonathan.
Let's see. I'm going to be the first speaker, and listener, and I'd like to ask someone to volunteer to speak. Wendy?
I'm happy to do so, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to start a 5-minute timer.
Thank you.
And I'm going to be reflecting. Go.
Thank you. Okay, so just reflecting on some of the benefits of having spent time with the empathy circle training. I think one of the main benefits for me has been reflecting on some of the differences between empathy and compassion.
You're reviewing in your mind what you've gotten out of and the benefits of the training that you just participated in, and you're focusing on learning about reflection and reflecting different ideas.
What I think the main learning has been reflecting on some of the similarities and differences between compassion and wisdom.
You're focusing and you've been learning about the nuance or the distinction between wisdom and compassion.
Between empathy and compassion.
Oh, between empathy and compassion.
Thank you. And there's been a range of benefits. One is learning the protocols of a new community.
You've had a large range of benefits. One of them was learning about the protocol or culture, the environment of the community.
Thank you. And certainly meeting everyone that I've had a buddy call with, everybody that I've interacted with in the breakout groups are deep thinkers, and it's been a privilege to interact with people who spend time deeply thinking.
You're saying that everyone you've talked to in the breakout rooms and in the buddy calls have had deep thoughts, or thoughts that were profound or a little out of the ordinary in a good way for you.
Yes, I've interacted with a range of people who are showing humility and amplifying the values. I have a bad cold at the moment, so I'm beginning to lose my voice.
You've just enjoyed witnessing real-time empathy and the connection that you've had with other people.
Thank you. In terms of other learning and benefits from the training, I think the discipline has been a good benefit. The discipline of keeping to the process of the empathy circle.
Something that stood out for you is the wisdom in keeping to the process and the structure, and just how powerful the simple structure is.
Thank you. Yes, it's been instructive. Noticing the different way people interpret in the reflective listening.
Oh, you've really learned a lot by observing that different people reflect differently.
And other benefits have been to, in terms of discipline, actually in a very busy life, carving out the time for the buddy calls, running empathy circles, and attending these sessions. Thank you.
You're saying that it's been very helpful to you in organizing, learning how to organize your time better, because you've had to set appointments with the buddy calls, and you've had to take time to think about the materials in the classroom.
Thank you, Jonathan. I feel fully heard.
Well, thank you. Gosh, Beta, would you listen and reflect for me?
Sure, I will do that.
All right, I'm going to start the timer. I've had a very busy week. I'm doing a number of projects and had the highlight was trying to attend the Extinction Rebellion Empathy Circle while simultaneously being logged into Bill's Empathy in Schools circle.
So you are involved in many projects. Your week has been busy. You had intention to attend Extinction Rebellious, but that overlap with another circle?
Yes, that's correct. So I cheated. I have a notebook and then I have a desktop computer. And so I logged into both of them at the same time.
So you're saying you were cheating and you actually logged into them simultaneously?
Yes. I had sent an email to Bill saying that I was planning on going to Extinction Rebellion Empathy Circle, but I couldn't resist just logging in for a moment to say hello and then leave.
So you sent email to Bill that you will be attending Rebellious Extinction, but there was also temptation to say hello in other circle.
Yes, so as it turned out, I waited for about 7, 8, 9 minutes, and nobody from the Extinction Rebellion let me into the circle. And I'm assuming that I was running the equipment correctly. So I spent a very lovely 2 hours with a large group of people talking about empathy in schools and Bill's project to document and to give documentation and materials to teachers to accomplish that end.
Mm-hmm. So you ended in empathy at school circle because it sounds like no one turned up to the other circle and was beneficial because you could review the documents that Bill was presenting or spoke about.
The Empathy in Schools program is nurturing teachers or trying to help teachers introduce simple reflection techniques and empathy circle techniques in the classroom, in schools.
Mm-hmm. So empathy circle, empathy at school circle supports teachers and nourish them how they can provide or facilitate empathy at schools.
Yes. So I don't think I'm going to do that again. I think, like I said, I was a little leery about logging into 2 empathy circles at the same time. But I want to visit and get a larger view of all of the independent groups.
So you're saying that possibly you won't do this again. You won't log in the same time to different groups. However, you have desire to check many other groups, especially the independent one.
Yes, and I'm also planning. I really enjoy the new cafe, or well, not new cafe, the empathy cafe to meet new people.
And what you're enjoying is meeting new people in the circles.
Yes, in the cafe circles, which are kind of like a starting place.
Okay. So
and
you enjoying
please reflect.
You enjoying meeting new people in a cafe circles.
Yes, I feel you understood what I was saying today. So you can speak and pick a listener.
Edwin, will you listen to me?
Listening.
So I want to reflect on my experience so far in a training. And what has been very valuable was meeting people here and feel like I'm part of the community.
So you're going to reflect on your experience of the training, and it was the community aspect, meeting people in a community, that was important to you.
Yes, and it helps me to train a certain skill of reflecting back close to this what listener says. And I feel like I'm a very different type of listener, much more intuitive, who listen with my body and my emotions. And although I'm hearing someone, I cannot always verbally say exactly what they said.
So you're noticing that you're an intuitive listener. You may not be able to reflect exactly what they said, but you're listening at sort of a deeper intuitive level.
Yes, so that reflecting back and checking if I heard someone correctly is just a great space to like practice that skill.
So practicing that, doing this reflection is a good place. You're finding it very helpful or useful to practice, to practice it.
And there's many other benefits. I remember having a circle with Larry, and I was in that role of facilitator, being a little bit messy and not doing everything perfectly, which I was giving myself hard time for it.
Oh, so you were facilitating with Larry, and things were kind of messed up a little bit, and you're really judging yourself, giving yourself a hard time about it.
Yeah, and in the debriefing, Larry lovely reflected that we have very punishing culture when we feel punished for making mistakes. And he reminded me about just being easy with myself, allowing mistakes, and actually learning from it rather than feeling bad about it.
So Larry mentioned that the culture is very punishing culture, and just to learn from any mistakes and just not sort of punish yourself, but to learn from your experiences.
And that also gave me that taste of empathy when I could feel his caring nature and very supportive way of being with me.
So that really felt like empathy with his supportive way of being with you. Sounds like it relaxed you. You felt more relaxed and felt a real sense of empathy then.
Yes. It has been lovely to meet people all around the world and feel very welcome, feel the openness, feel people's passion to create this movement.
And it just feels lovely to you to just meet all the people here, to see all these other people in this movement, and that's a lovely experience for you.
It's very inspiring, just feeling people's commitment what they're putting into the movement, into the group, that they're giving their time, their energy. It's just great to know that something like that exists and is real in the world.
Yeah, just feels really good, inspiring that people are committing their time and effort and taking part in this. And so it feels really good for you.
Mm.
Maybe even makes you feel a little hopeful.
Thank you. I feel fully heard.
Okay, thank you. Wendy, can I speak with you? To you.
Yes, with pleasure.
Yeah, so this is the wait room. So people, if they drop out of the call, they'll be coming back through this room. So this is sort of when they arrive back, if they drop the call, they arrive back and then I send them to the room. So I just wanted to give you a heads up.
So you were explaining the multitasking that you're having to do when people drop out. You have to reassign them to the breakout rooms as well as being part of this group.
Yeah, and I'm thinking of what Beata said, that I feel that same way, just to see everyone here is really trying to do something more positive in society. Like, society, in the political, there's so much judgment and polarization and conflict in the world. And here in the circle, or in the training and doing the empathy circle, it's sort of a positive effort. I feel it's like people are really trying to do something positive, constructive in the world.
So you were empathizing with what Beata has said, and focusing in on the sense of positivity and a sense of hope, knowing that people are putting time and energy into the empathy circle movement. It's very, very positive in a world that has quite a lot of negativity in it.
And I think the core of it is listening. If people just need to listen to each other, if people can slow down, just really listen to each other, and then people feel heard and understood, that itself is sort of almost magical. It's magical in its simplicity of people, in terms of creating positive energy.
So you find that the whole process is so simple. It's based on listening to each other, and generally in the world, if people could just listen, to slow down enough just to listen, that would bring a lot more feeling of being together.
And there's huge conflicts in the world, and bringing people together and have those conflicts to listen to each other, it doesn't happen overnight. It's like they may have to listen for days, weeks, months, or years to each other to start working out some of those big issues. But it's taking the time, being committed to it, and trying to promote that listening, within the culture.
So there are so many conflicts in the world, and how wonderful it would be if people could just take the time, slow down enough to be able to meet together. And that's not going to happen overnight. That's a long process. It could take weeks, months, years for people to actually be able to listen to each other.
And I mean the big conflicts, Palestine, Israel conflict, and there's so many other huge conflicts like that, it takes time, and there needs to be a commitment to taking the time. You have to say, I'm willing to take the time to do this. So it does take that commitment.
You're thinking in particular of some of the world's biggest conflicts, for instance, Israel and Palestine. And it takes commitment on the part of the people to actually take the time to begin to listen to each other.
Yeah. It does feel good too. There is a feeling of, it feels pretty good when people listen to each other, and you kind of have a sense of connection, and there's not all the sort of the stress, that so much of the conflict is this feeling of kind of this battle.
So there's a feeling of feeling good when people are able to take the time to listen to each other. It's a real positive in comparison to the kind of warring, battling normality.
And the other part is people are coming from all over the world, right? It's like, and you see that it's kind of like the same thing. If people anywhere are kind of the same in that sense, that it's kind of, they might have different cultures or values, but if they can kind of listen to each other, that, you know, that's what's really, I think, a positive, transformative kind of experience. Yeah. No, that's it. Go ahead.
You're reflecting how actually most people have the same values, the same needs, and it's just a matter of taking the time to listen to each other, to be able to really then begin to understand each other, and that's a very hopeful process.
And I feel fully heard. Thank you.
Thank you, Edwin. And Jonathan, oh no, I'm just thinking I had you last time, did I? Yeah. Yeah, Beata, if you could be my listener. Sorry, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. So just still reflecting on, you know, the learnings from this training, and there are particular phrases or sentences that some of the trainers and trainees have used, which have really stuck in my mind. Dwayne, you know, says things like, there's no sorries in the empathy, no sorries when we're part of an empathy circle. And I've been reflecting on what that really means. You know, it's.
So you're reflecting on the learning process, on this training, and some people come to your mind, some participants, trainee, and you reflected what Dwayne said about that no one feels sorry. Did I understood you correctly? No one feels sorry, empathy circle.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Thank you. No sorries. And I've been reflecting on how it's okay to regret having said or done something, but no need to feel guilt about that.
Oh. So you're reflecting on your experience that it's okay to regret to say something, but also to not feel guilty about it.
Thank you. Yes, because often having felt I've made a mistake, I haven't done it on purpose, so I can regret it. There's no need for me to feel guilty.
So you're reflecting that sometimes in this mistake making, there is no intentionality, although it happened, so there is no need to feel guilty about it.
Thank you, yes. In terms of the second question about future intentions, I'd like to reflect on that for a moment.
So you also want to reflect on the second question, what would be the next step?
Thank you. And I feel more experiences of a variety of empathy circles are what is immediately necessary for me.
So you feel that there is need to experience variety of empathy circles?
Yeah, so I try always on a Wednesday to attend Gabby's European meeting.
So you're trying to attend a European group run by Gabby on Wednesday?
Yeah, and I would like to fit in also attending some of the things that Jonathan mentioned about the empathy circles in schools and the Extinction Rebellion empathy circles.
And you also have intention to attend Extension Rebellious and Empathy at School.
And Edwin's one on Friday to do with defining empathy. I'd like to carve out the time to attend that.
And also Edwin's group on Friday, like reflecting or defining what empathy is.
And also an actual empathy cafe. I haven't experienced that at all yet, so I'd like to learn more about that.
And you also want to learn about Empathy Cafe, that you didn't experience those groups before.
So as a a beginner in this community, I feel very open to my next steps being learning.
So you're still in a process of learning, you feel very open and you want to experience the groups.
Yes, and then in terms of other communities that I'm involved with, I think it will be interesting to see when and how it might be appropriate to introduce the empathy circle process.
And you're also involved with other communities, and you're curious how you could introduce empathy circle.
Thank you, Beata. I feel fully listened to. Thank you.
Thank you. Jonathan, will you be my listener?
Yes, I'd love to. I'll start the timer.
Would I feel inspired also within this movement? There were these body calls, because it was nice to connect one-to-one with some participants. And
you were inspired by your buddy call, and you felt it was really nice to connect with these people.
Yes, and I experienced all of them very open, and I also received emails from people where we were not maybe pair up for that week, but just the openness and wanting to connect and chat was just a lovely experience.
You're saying that just the preparations and the attempting to connect with members of our empathy circle community, you felt really good about just some emails that came in trying to arrange for connection time, and you felt real good about it.
Yes, that's right. Because I feel like I'm living in a very busy world where majority of people don't have time for a real connection. So actually seeing that this is not true, that people actually have time and they have space and they want to connect, it brings again, that conviction in me that what is possible.
You found it really refreshing how your new friends took the time and effort, took time and effort out of their life to try and connect with you. And it was different than your day-to-day experience, which you feel a little isolated. And so you just felt good about other people and the world around you.
So I wouldn't say that I feel isolated, but I feel like I am very busy. Other people are busy, and I'm in this kind of conviction that is very difficult to find time for meaningful connection with strangers.
You're just caught up in the race of the world, and you find yourself busy, and you find people around you busy, and this experience has been refreshing and to you because you feel like you're actually connecting and slowing down and living better.
Mhm. Yes. What I also found very interesting was when we have these challenges set up in our circles.
Oh, you found that during the training sessions, the challenges, the learning challenges, you found those very interesting.
In my previous group last week, Dwayne acted like a very difficult participant. And
You're sharing with us the experience from last week of Dwayne being a very difficult participant.
yes, and what he was saying was that he wants us to have a real experience of dealing with difficult people, and the fact that he was getting into that role and acting that way, just giving us that experience was again quite supportive and sweet in some way.
You're saying that Dwayne really acted out or got into the portrayal of a different person, but yet at the same time he was balanced it, and you felt he was teaching and being sweet, but illustrating a difficult situation.
Yes, thank you. I feel fully heard.
Well, thank you very much. Let's see here. Wendy, have you reflected me?
No.
Okay, would you mind reflecting me, or would you like to?
That would be an honor. Thank you, Jonathan.
Well, you're very welcome. I'm going to start the timer. Well, it was interesting hearing Edwin talk about some of the benefits, some of the values and benefits of an empathy circle. And I'd like to add to that something beyond what Edwin has shared with us.
You found it interesting listening to Edwin reflect on some of the benefits of the empathy circle, and you'd like to add to that.
And I apologize for my thoughts being a little unformed, but what strikes me is hearing it twice or doing it twice. When I'm an active listener, I get to listen to somebody say something, and I have to listen to them. And while I'm listening to them, I'm trying to remember what they're going to say, and I want to try and express back to them what I'm going to say. And I'm getting it twice. And there's a difference between the first time you get it and a difference between when you reflect back is a different process. I think it uses different parts of the brain.
So you're reflecting on the benefits of hearing something twice within the process of the empathy circle, and in particular when you hear somebody speak and then you have to reflect back, and you feel that hearing it twice, it affects different parts of your brain, listening and then reflecting.
Yeah, and I almost don't want to use the word hearing it twice unless I'm listening to myself. But am I listening to myself, or am I listening to someone else? It's like there's a wonderful melting or role reversal or a suspension of my I or ego. I noticed it in values when I said a value at the start of all this about clarity in categories.
So you're not sure about the use of the word hearing it twice, because do you hear yourself when you're the speaker, and you know values. And I missed the last phrase that you used. Could you repeat that for me, please?
When I'm reflecting, I'm not categorizing or judging. And it's like going somewhere else that I hadn't been here before.
So when you're reflecting, you're not categorizing or judging.
Yeah, and it's something new to me. And it's meaningful.
So this is this process of not categorizing and not judging is a new process for you, and it's very meaningful.
It enhances empathy. I was struck by, I've been watching a lot of Edwin's videos, and I was struck by his talking about it being, he didn't use this analogy, but it's kind of like a muscle. And when you go to the open cafes, it seems wonderful because it seems like once I've learned the basic civility and the basic little structure that we have, it's almost like it's a ticket to go to get in the door, because you can show up, and because you know the basic structure of an empathy circle, you can fit in and kind of get a bearing on what's going on.
So you're reflecting how this not categorizing, not judging really enhances empathy. And you've been watching some of the videos that Edwin has made. And in one of them, you reflect that he refers to it as an empathy muscle. And you've really noticed how in the open cafes that you've attended, how it's like a ticket. Now that you know the process and the structure, you can enter those cafes.
Yeah, I feel fully heard. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Okay. So speaker, yeah, Jonathan, I'm not sure. Have you listened? No, yeah, I'm trying to think whose turn is it.
It's your turn to be the speaker.
Yeah, no, I know that. I'm trying to think whose turn it is to be the listener, because I always think it's nice if we each get equal turns. So, yeah.
Well, you could put Edwin on the spot.
I was going to say, Edwin, yeah.
Okay, listening.
Okay. Thank you, Edwin. So, yes, it's. So what's on top? I think one of the things that I'm keen to take forward is the integrating the method, the process in everyday life.
So what you'd like to take forward is bring this method into your everyday life. See how you can apply it to your everyday life.
Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, I had the opportunity, we had visitors and 3 young kids, and seeing how the listening and the reflecting back can be used with young children.
So you had those young children there, and you're wondering, how could you do the reflective listening with them? So it looks like you're looking for opportunities of how to do it.
Yes, with partner and friends, and without it being pompous or contrived.
Yeah, how to do it in a natural way. That's.
And wondering why I've reached this age without knowing this technique. or not technique, this process.
Yeah, just wondering, like, how to get to this age without knowing this process, or
Yeah, and how beneficial it would be if it was available automatically in schools.
yeah, you're just seeing how beneficial it would be if you already learned this in the schools at an early age.
And how I observe in supermarkets, whatever, families interacting where it's so clear they're not listening to each other.
And you see that like out in the supermarkets where you can just see that the families aren't really listening to each other, maybe thinking how they could use this too.
Yeah, and in a way, how very rare it is to feel really listened to and to really listen.
And this feeling like you're being listened to and to listen to others is rare, and you're just seeing the rareness of it, maybe wishing it was more common.
Yeah, I mean, how crazy, that it's rare.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that it's so rare. It's like, yeah, it's just crazy. It should be more common, should be every day.
Yeah, which ties in with what Beata was saying as well, which is, one of the benefits of having joined this cohort is seeing it, the benefits, but the rarity and the skill, because although it's very simple, it isn't all that easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a simple process, but you're really seeing it's not that easy to really listen to people. It's more complicated than it maybe looks.
Yeah, yes, it's not that hard on one level to listen, but to actually have the empathy with the listening, that it's making that step towards empathy.
Yeah, you can listen, but to have that deeper empathy that's more of a challenge. That extra step, that next step.
Yes, yeah, and it's another learning I think that I've had is the importance of slowing down enough to speak honestly.
And the other learning is that you can really, how to slow down and just speak what's really alive for you, what's really honest, and share your authenticity.
Yes, because I'm quite capable of just burbling on, but to actually, speak from the belly, speak from the body, speak what feels honest. So it's not just this process of listening and reflective listening, it's speaking honestly.
So you're seeing another part of this circle is how do you speak really more honestly and speak more from what's going on in your body versus maybe just superficial, words.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Edwin. I feel fully listened to.
Okay, I'll speak to Jonathan. I don't think I spoke to you yet.
And I'd be happy to reflect. Let me start the timer. Start.
Okay, something that was sitting with me was about about saying you're sorry or feeling guilty, which came up earlier. So I thought I would talk a little bit about what came up for me around that.
Something that I feel is important that came up earlier today was our attitudes about feeling sorry
and guilty
about things.
Yeah, so there's in this circle you can be alive with whatever's alive for you. So I want to just say if guilt or feeling sorry arises, just sharing that honestly is fine. It's not like, oh, I'm feeling sorry, I have to suppress that. So it's like, if that's what you feel, I think it's good to just express it and just get it out there.
You're enhancing the idea of freedom of speech by saying that emotions that we should not be afraid of, we shouldn't hide our emotions, and that we have a right to express them because they're genuine.
What I'm concerned about, well, not concerned, it's just that when it's your time to speak, whatever arises with one authentically, or even inauthentically, whatever you want, it's your time to be however you want. There's no judgment in it. You're going to be met with empathy. So I guess I just want that sense of, oh, I have to speak a certain way. I have to do something, and that anxiety, you don't need that anxiety. If you want to have the anxiety, that you're free to do that too. But you're also free not to have the anxiety. It's your time. Just whatever's alive for you, whatever's true for you is welcome. Yeah.
You're bubbling over with the realization that people should speak what's on their heart and speak what's their emotions, and feel free to just share their and not feel afraid to be open, which is one of the core value. Openness is the core value which builds community.
I guess like I sometimes take workshops and they say speak from your heart.
Yeah.
Right. And my thing is speak from any part of your body that you want to. Speak from your head, speak from your ass, speak from any part of your body. You're free to speak with whatever kind of arises. So I don't want to. So yeah, I guess I want to just share that there is that freedom just to it's just to be free to speak from however you want.
You want to shout to the world and declare to everyone that we have to be free to speak from any part of our embodied cognition, as George Lakoff would say.
I don't like that word cognition. I would just say, yeah, speak from the body. I'm trying to get away from the word cognition, because cognition sounds too dry, for me at least. It sounds sort of dry and sort of technical. Yeah. So
forgive me for framing. You're very uncomfortable with the word cognition.
Yeah, so I didn't use it. So I just want to be sure that I didn't just express that. I didn't say that.
I'll sign an affidavit.
No, just reflect back.
No, just I'll reflect back. You're right.
Okay. And so, yeah, I just want to say, because I think that's important, that if we know that we can be whoever we are, it just creates more space for, trust to develop. Like, oh, if I can be whoever I am and somebody's going to listen in the circle, trust develops. And I find that over time, as trust develops, I'm able to speak even more honestly. So I just want it's creating that space of trust. You don't have to agree with what I'm saying, but while I'm saying it, you will be hearing me. So I think that's a core part for the empathy circle.
You're taking this time to stress how important it is for people to feel unrestrained or unrestricted in expressing themselves freely.
Yeah. And that was my time. So I feel fully heard.
Okay. I'm going to pick, let's see, Beta. Would you reflect?
Yes.
Okay, and I started my timer. I find that small empathy circles are very nice, and as you settle in and as time progresses, I feel a little more comfortable, perhaps a little more childish, and perhaps a little more silly, and so forgive me for enjoying myself.
So you enjoying yourself in a circle, and sometimes maybe a bit of silliness comes out of you, but you enjoying yourself, and you also appreciate the small circles.
Yes, I think you understand what I'm saying, because I just in the time I've been here, I feel much closer to everyone in our circle.
And you feel like you're getting closer to us
Today. So going back to this values, and I believe it's on the agenda today to talk about empathy, mutuality, openness, and care. And each of these are high level goals, ambitions, lofty ideals, just wonderful things to strive for.
So the values that are mentioned in a circle, you feel like they are like ideals to strive for.
Yes, to strive to the ability to empathize.
To strive for the ability to empathize.
To strive for us to share the time equally.
To strive to share our time equally.
And for us to be open about our emotions. Like Edwin was saying, that we feel free just to speak what comes to our mind.
And feeling free in expressing ourselves.
Open. To express ourselves.
To feel open to express ourselves.
And out of this comes a sense of caring.
And what arises out of it is also sense of care.
Yes, and the more we experience reflecting people, the more we develop our ability to be empathetic.
And the more we are in tune in reflecting what others say, the more we develop empathy.
Yes, and I believe that to be true, and I've heard many participants in the empathy circle process make that proclamation. I'm not deterred by the time. I know one of us, Wendy mentioned she's learning how to structure her time better. In a way, it's resonating with me because what I'm trying to do is to carve out about 4 to 6 hours a week to do something on the empathy circle project.
Mm-hmm. So you also dedicating your time and up to 6 hours to participate in empathy circles during the week?
In some form of either study or helping Bill with his documents and advertising materials and viewing other empathy circles and studying empathy. So there's a lot of different things that I'm finding time to want to do. And I think I've run out of time. You can reflect.
So your participation comes in various forms, could be study, you're also helping Bill with advertising, and you like to check out empathy circle groups.
Yes, I feel understood. So how are we doing for time, Edwin?
We have about 20 minutes.
Oh,
according to my clock, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's your turn to speak.
Wendy, will you listen to me? So following what Edwin was saying about that free expression in a circle is very noticeable to me.
So following on from what Edwin had mentioned about free expression in the empathy circle, this is something that is very noticeable to you.
Yes, because I can come across people who I completely disagree, but I'm in a position where I have to listen to them like actively and reflect back what they saying, which completely changes the way I relate to them in that moment.
So you found that with this process of having to listen and then reflect back, sometimes listening to people who have a different view that you don't always agree with, you finding that it changes the whole process of the listening.
Mm-hmm. Yes, because focus is on hearing this person, they view, and my role is just carefully listening and reflecting appropriately what they said.
So the process is different from normal, because your role is just to listen and reflect back carefully what they have said.
Mm-hmm. And what I'm noticing that during that process, the reaction or the edge is taken away, because I suddenly go into that neutral space that I'm here just to be receiver of someone's message, but not making comments about it.
So you feel that with this process, your role is just to listen, to not make comments or judgments, but just to listen and reflect back. So it changes the whole dynamic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then when it's my turn and I can speak, I have that space to also be free and express what I want, knowing that the listener will be just reflecting back. There is no, I don't feel judged in my expression.
So equally, when it's your turn to speak, you know and you feel that the listener is just listening and reflecting back, and so you feel much freer in your speech.
So it's a beautiful attitude to cultivate and practice and demonstrate actually what is possible in that human connection, even when they disagree.
So you feel this is a very beautiful practice, and even when people disagree, it can be very beneficial.
And it's a good reminder for me when I'm in my everyday life, that when I'm dealing with someone who I feel is a bit challenging, that I can just quickly go into that position of just reflecting back, like, oh, that's simple, actually can be done, it's doable, rather than immediately reject someone or move away.
So you're finding in your everyday life that this skill of just reflecting back is very doable. Because it's just a new skill to reflect back, even with somebody very challenging.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I feel fully heard.
Thank you. That went by very quickly. Thank you. So, Edwin, would you be my listener?
Listening. Thank
you. I think my internet is cracking up sometimes and stalling, so apologies for that.
Apologizing for the internet breaking up.
Yeah. probably reflecting of my fuzzy mind at the moment as well, having this bad cold.
Yeah, so you're maybe that breaking up is reflecting your fuzzy mind because you have a cold, and that's just.
I'm hoping it's not COVID. So, yeah. So, what? Yes. Okay. So quite interesting, this idea of just speaking from any part of my body.
Yeah. So the notion of speaking from any part of your body is you find interesting.
I think for a long time, I have definitely used that expression, speaking from the heart, not just the head.
And you have used that term of speak from the heart, not from the head, or just from the head.
Yeah, not just because I don't like the expression speak from your heart, not your head. I think from my side, I do think it's an ideal to speak from whole self.
It's not, yeah, you like to speak from the whole self. You think that's a good idea.
Yeah, it's not from just a cerebral response. It's the idea of definitely feeling embodied when I'm speaking.
So you like to not just speak from your cerebral part, but also from your body.
Well, yeah, I don't want to ignore the cerebral, but I certainly don't want to speak only from.
So you want to speak from both parts, not ignore the cerebral, but speak from both. Allow.
So now I need to try and speak from my elbow and my shoulder and all parts of me.
Yeah, so now you want to start speaking from different parts, your elbow, your shoulders, all different parts of you. So it kind of sounds like you're a little playful with kind of thinking about that.
Oh my gosh, it's time already.
Time?
Thank you so much.
It looks like it's not, you held it up by accident, I think.
No, I was excited. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
It went awful fast. I thought, wow, that's fast.
So, I think some of the other learnings are the other learnings from the training are to do with how easily some things can become them and us.
Yeah, something else you've gotten from the training is seeing how us and them can happen.
And yeah, with one particular group that I'm involved in at the moment, there's a strong situation of them and us, and just trying to imagine how empathy circles might be used in that situation.
So a group that you're part of, there's a them and us dynamics happening. You're just wondering how empathy circles could sort of be used in that situation.
And I suppose one of the challenges is carving the time, because quite often, well, in that particular situation, it's like people are exhausted with meetings and discussing because it's felt like they haven't actually got anywhere.
And again, it's the issue of time, because people feel like they haven't really gotten anywhere. They have a lot of meetings and things aren't getting anywhere, and there's sort of an exhaustion that's happening.
And I'm aware that I kind of backed out of being involved in that part of the community, and I'm just wondering, how best to be of benefit.
So you had backed off from being part of that community because of that conflict, and now you're thinking of maybe how you could be involved again.
Thank you. I feel fully heard, Edwin.
Okay, Beata, can I speak to you?
Yes.
What Well, that's the other thing about the empathy circle is it's a foundation for conflict mediation, like what Wendy's talking about. It's sort of the foundational process that mediation can be done.
So empathy circle gives the foundation for mediation and conflict resolution.
And there's something we have called the restorative empathy circle. So it's built, adding more steps to the empathy circle to be more robust for addressing conflict.
So there are other circles where they serve more like a space for practicing that conflict resolution.
Yeah, and so in the bigger picture, if for a community, I think it's good before the conflict happens is to be learning empathy circles and practicing it. So you sort of embed the mindset into in all the participants, and it's a little bit like you were saying that you just learn a little bit of how not to react right away when somebody says something, that you're giving that space. So everybody in the community kind of learns that practice.
So it sounds like what is needed is that basic skills to build up a good foundation to progress into the space when we're dealing with conflicts.
Yeah, and so if everybody learns the circle practice, and then also I think it's helpful to set the cultural values and say, we value empathy. It's a value, a cultural value. And if a conflict comes up, to have an agreement beforehand that we're going to take it to an empathy circle to work it out. So you've got all those sort of pieces in place before a conflict even happens.
Mm-hmm. So there's importance of having values, and when conflict happens, is good to take this back to empathy circles.
Yeah, and then there's other components that if a conflict happens, like when I mediate conflicts, I do conflict mediation, I bring people into almost like a buddy call, but where I just listen. Let's say there's 5 people in a conflict. I bring each person separately and I say, you have half an hour just to speak about the conflict. And all I do is empathic listening for half an hour, just so that they get sort of an empathy bath. They're getting bathed in empathy. And that kind of brings the tension down. I do that for all 5 people, for example, that may be in the conflict.
Mm-hmm. So one of your practices is when you're dealing with conflict is to dedicate the space, empathic space, for someone who you can listen and who can freely express what they feel about certain conflict.
And then I bring them all together and then they do an empathy circle. And if it's a real conflict, you need like 3 hours at least to work through, because you need more time to address a conflict. So 3+ hours usually for a real serious, conflict.
So first you're doing one-to-one with each of them, and then you bring them together into empathy circle. And usually you dedicate a lot of time, like even up to 3 hours, for them to listen to each other and express.
Yeah, and then there's a lot of other components to it, but it's time consuming. But I think if this gets embedded in the community, at first it's time consuming, but in the long run, it just pays off, because you're just going to have so much less conflict in the long run, and everyone will have the tools for, solving those conflicts.
So on some level, feels like there's a lot of energy investment, time investment, but actually in a long run, it brings the benefit because people learn certain tools that they will use.
Yeah, and also the mindset, it's practical tools as well as sort of a values and mindset. So you kind of develop both of those. Yeah.
Right. So it's the practical side tools, but also mindset and
I
values.
feel fully heard. Thank you, Beata.
Thank you.
You're muted.
Jonathan, will you listen to me?
Yes, I just started the timer. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I got interested in that conflict resolution that Edwin was describing, because I always feel like you need quite advanced skills to face the conflict.
You're interested in Edwin's description of conflict resolution, and because you always thought that you needed advanced skills to do conflict resolution.
Yeah, when I'm thinking about myself, I need to make sure that I'm grounded, like I really feel stable and certain about myself, because I know how quickly the conflict can shake me.
In order for you to engage in conflict resolution, you need to feel very grounded and very confident, and you need to feel like you're able to do it because you're a sensitive person.
Yes, and maybe there are other alternatives how to deal with conflicts, like what I'm hearing, they are other tools or skills I can gain to deal with it.
What you're learning and what you're opening up to is that the empathy circles may lead to other tools and other ways of using reflective listening to resolve conflict.
Mm-hmm. Because it sounds like the main principle is to really listen to the other without that reaction. It's like respecting that someone has freedom of speech.
You're struck by the power of giving someone an opportunity to speak, and you're saying that this power of giving them freedom to speak has benefits.
And what I'm sensing, that maybe there is nothing threatening in facing people who are very angry or they have conflict, and maybe I don't have to be so grounded and stable. Like that actually doesn't matter. What matters is that I have that space to hear them.
What you're saying is that the empathy circle structure of listening is teaching you to have the confidence to listen without reacting, and it's making you fear less or feel less like you have to say something. In other words, by just listening to them, you're empathizing with them, and that the whole process is giving you a structure and something that's of benefit to you. It's going to make you feel better about getting involved, resolving conflict.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm curious about it, yeah, where that could lead me.
You're curious. You want to learn more about it, and you want to see what happens if you learn more about it. You're curious.
Yes, because where I'm coming from, which is just my way of coping, is when I'm dealing with someone difficult, I need to be very firm and have firm boundaries. Then I can handle them. But that might be completely wrong idea.
So you've tried a number of techniques to work with difficult people. One of them is setting boundaries and being firm. But empathy circles gives you a new method to resolve differences that makes you feel good, because now you have another way of doing things, or more different ways of doing things. And I'm kind of run out of time there, but you can reflect.
No, you were reflecting her, so.
I'm sorry, I got
everybody's coming back in, so thanks everyone. There's a really lovely circle. And we do want to create a training for that, for restorative empathy circles. Is on one of the projects to add as another training.
That would be great. That would be really, really useful. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, everybody be back in a few seconds here.
Empathy warrior.
Okay. Welcome back. I think everybody's back now. We're going to have a little time to talk, excuse me, talk about values. We started to talk about values at the beginning. We shared of this training session, or the whole session, and we talked about the values that we hold here: empathy, mutuality, openness, and care. There are others. You may have others that are also similar. That's fine. And so we believe that the empathy circle practice is an excellent first step towards basically honoring and spreading those values. If we practice it correctly, we'll sort of, if we practiced it correctly in the training, hopefully you got a sense of some of those values, how they came through either the structure, for instance, mutuality and the fact that everybody has an equal time to speak, or something that someone did that expressed mutuality, openness, and care. So I wanted to come back, revisit. Not everybody will have to speak. We'll have about 15 minutes for this, and you'll have about a minute to reflect, or for about 3 minutes or something like that, max, and just reflect on the values, because that's what links this practice to our lives and to our culture. So empathy values, how is it expressed? How do you feel it? Have you changed? Did you have a new sense of what care is because of your experience here, or something someone did? So I'll try to open it up. And who would like to speak on that? Valerie? Thanks.
Yeah, so the value that I'd like to talk about is integrity. And I think that Empathy Circle really provides the space and the opportunity for us to look at our own personal integrity and see it in others modeled. And I see in every Empathy Circle the courage to have integrity. That doesn't necessarily happen in common conversations. And it's too bad, because in common conversations, sometimes it's like we sort of feel like pressure, or we don't want to be embarrassed, or there's like a hierarchy in the dynamics or what's happening. But in Empathy Circle process, I found, because of the mutuality and the equality, it's like a safe space. And it allows us to tap into our integrity. And I found it inside myself, and I love to see it in other people as well. And because one of the things that really keeps me coming back is that honesty and just how people express integrity. Thank you.
Thank you, Valerie. Oren.
Thank you. I'll keep my camera off, I'm afraid. It's the internet. Yeah, I think the equity thing for me is just so important. And we had a bit of a conversation about whether 2 hours is too long for this. And I think because of the space it allows, that, you know, we shorten the sessions, then the time pressure becomes too much, and so so that equity timekeeping thing maybe to become too so I think that's that time scale, that 2.5 hour time scale, really helps us kind of relax into you know, we are all going to be heard. That's all I've got to say. Thanks.
Okay, and Oren, you cut out for a little bit, so I'm just going to do a real quick reflection. But what I heard you say is about the time allows for equity and people to be heard. So that's why the 2-hour time limit allows for that. Was that the gist? Did I get it?
Exactly right. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks, Ron. Mervyn.
Yeah, for me, the value that was really present in our circle was this value of care, because as we started, we were talking about the tiredness issue and concentrating, and Valerie suggested we have a 5-minute break halfway through, and I really appreciated that, the caring for our needs. And she also suggested we could stretch, and sorry, Anne was suggesting that we could stretch and things, and then Valerie already also suggested we could pause and just take a quiet period, or have a 5-minute quiet time when it was our session to talk, and just have a quiet space. So I really appreciated these tips about how to look after ourselves and to meet our need for care. Thank you.
Thank you, Mervyn. Mike? You're muted, Mike.
Sorry. A value that I think is really important in the empathy circles is self-observation, and realizing and how, for me, how I treat myself. If Renato was talking earlier about a sense of worth, and I think that's a really wonderful way to talk about the empathy circles, is that it increases your sense of worth, because you can not only pay attention to others, but pay attention to yourself. So I'll just leave it at that.
Thanks, Mike. That was great. Leo.
I think the value of feelings was prominent in my experience today. And I can carry on conversations without identifying feelings, but they're underlying what I say. Sally was really good at putting her feelings on the table and identifying them. And that made it easier for the listeners to respond directly to her feelings. Often we have to infer what the feelings are, but feelings are always being communicated in whatever we say. And it's important to make them explicit to ourselves and to others. And they have their own flavor.
Thanks, Leo. Wendy.
I think trust is an important value. Trust in the process, trust in the people, trust in myself to speak honestly and truthfully. So the value of trust. Thank you.
Great. Is there anybody else? Colin, there you are. Yeah, Colin, go ahead.
I would say self-compassion or self-empathy is a value that's important to me in the empathy circles. There have been occasions where my focus hasn't been as good as it could be, and I haven't been able to reflect back accurately. But if I'm kind to myself, I can, I can cope with that situation much better and learn from it. And yes, this is just something that's that I'm interested in also in the Defining Empathy project, the idea of incorporating self-empathy into the circle.
Great, thank you, Colin. Diane?
Yeah, some other values I've seen expressed is, I'm not even sure if these are values, but I'll say them anyhow. Interdependence, that we rely on each other to actually have these circles. Patience, we try to support each other no matter what is happening to keep the circle going. Sense of humor, that's also gotten us through, I think, some difficult times. And also kindness. I think I sense a real open-heartedness in these circles, and I've really appreciated that. So thank you.
Okay, thanks, Diane. Renato.
Yeah, so one of the values that I want to mention is diversity, because there is so much diversity in these empathy circles from other cultures, from other different language speaking persons, and that diversity is and that diversity is an amazing thing, and also to connect these diverse cultures and persons, it's very big value. And me as a non-speaking non-native speaking English, it's a very big value for me, that diversity.
Thank you, Renato. Is there anyone else? We have a few minutes. Okay. Well, I'll just say for me, it's care, because that's what for me, I try to inform everything I do in applying the rules is to apply them with care. And I also want to specifically say thank you. And I just so appreciate the bravery of people who come for whom English is not a first language. I only speak one, and sometimes not that well. And also people who have poor internet connections or are coming because you really show your bravery and courage and care. So I just wanted to express my appreciation for that. All right. And having said that, we'll go on to our second question, and I'll pass it off to Celine. Thanks. You're muted, Celine.
Thank you. So first I said, thank you, Bill. And then I'm going to be asking 2 questions, and I'm going to go by each participant on my screen. And it's 1 minute per person. Quickly, what did you like about the training, and what will you be doing next with the empathy circles? And I'm going to start with Jonathan.
I liked learning the process, and I liked the training was long enough so that I saw many demonstrations of how the process is important. I'm planning to see if I can apply the empathy circle principles in some small community organizing groups. And I also want to try and experiment with the Daily Coast community and see if I can get some of them to do a empathy circle.
Thank you. Thank you, Jonathan. And Beata.
I really enjoy being with people here who really inspire me. And the fact that I could practice this art of listening with them, and what I'm going to do with it. I want to attend more groups. I want to be more involved with the community. I'm interested in conflict resolution, so I'm very curious about that. So there will be more exploration.
Thank you. Thank you, Beata. And Renato, would you please go next?
Yes. So I like from this training that it's like a learning process for me, and that I achieved a new skill, and also to have that opportunity for new topics, for new topic discussions, and I also like how can I connect with people, and through this training I learned how to do this empathy circle and how to facilitate them, so that I can practice them, and to I don't know how to say it. It's to have a meaning in my life, and also in the real life, and I will definitely use it for I don't know, for my family, or when I will have like a difficult discussion about a difficult topic, then I will surely use the empathy circle to have these discussions to be as mild as possible.
Thank you very much, Renato. And Dorothy.
What I like about the training is that I love listening to everybody talking. I find that there's so much, it's from everywhere around the world. So it's so amazing to be able to connect and learn how to just be present and listening. So I really, really love that. What I plan on doing, what I'm doing is I'm just going to continue practicing empathy circles, empathy speech and listening with my family, my friends, my community. I'm encouraging the board of directors that I'm part of to take the training so that we can sort of all experience this together. And so I'm hoping that that's going to be in the fall. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Dorothy. And Graham, would you please go?
Thank you, Celine. One of the things that I'm experiencing, and I've experienced this actually for the last 2 years that I've been involved here, and that is that you can be empathetic and demonstrate effective listening without necessarily reflecting, without using words, but essentially to have my behavior reflect what I'm hearing other people need. And that has another flip side, or another extension, if you like, and that is learning how to be easy to be with. That kind of doesn't fit into our reflective style here, or the processes, and is completely different, comes from a totally different angle. So those are my sort of key developmental interests. The other one is about implementing or furthering empathy circles. Rasha from India is asking me to lead her empathy circles, and they're going through some very big changes at the moment, and I need to be there for that change process. So those are my 2 sets of commitments, and I thank you for hearing me. Thank you.
Thank you, Graham. And Wendy, would you please take a turn?
Thank you, Celine. I liked everything, really. There's many things I could say, but basically I liked everything. And what I intend to do is just have more experiences of a range of different empathy circles, so to keep on learning. Thank you.
Thanks, Wendy. Oran.
Thank you. Yeah. Again, I thought it was so valuable. I think I liked most connecting with people and having the opportunity to be challenged in a facilitator role. And what my next plan is that Extinction Rebellion here are about to occupy a park in central London, and I think quite a lot of conflict resolution will be needed, and it's all about coming together and challenging the broken system we've got, and try and push for citizens' assembly, which is a deliberative democratic process that we need to heal this broken system. So we're coming together, hopefully in our thousands, in rebellion. So that's where I'm taking this skill, and I'll thank you and express love for you all.
Thank you very much, Oren. Diane, would you please go next?
Sure, thanks, Celine. So Oren, good luck. Love to hear about it. I loved hearing all the stories from people I was in groups with. Thanks so much for all you shared, the openness with which you shared. I also really appreciated the challenges when I was facilitating. That really helped me expand my toolbox. And I just appreciate learning this particular process and how to use it. And I'm hoping to go to some of the public cafes to see what arises there and what I can learn from that. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. And Kathleen, would you please take a turn?
Thank you. Again, just really grateful to be part of this with everybody, people I was able to be in rooms with, and people I wasn't, just hearing from everyone every week. I think one of the most valuable skills is just, I really value curiosity, and that's one of the values. And I think this is just the perfect structure to develop that ability in myself, and then just in my life better. You really have to listen in order to be curious. Thinking about how I can bring that back to my classroom is one area. I'm looking to do this more intentionally with someone I do community organizing work. I mentioned before, who did a cohort last time, my friend Marisa, who introduced me to this. And then I'd say in my personal life is the most work I have to do, because that's where all the neuro firing, the ways I'm used to talking with people, learning so much about this skill in my familial life. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, Kathleen. John, would you please go next?
Sure, thanks. Yeah, just meeting the wonderful folks, listening, learning from them, learning about their lives has made me a better person, I think, and I'm very grateful for that. One of the things I do in my profession is work for the folks in the States. They're familiar with workplace violence, and that's one of the things I'm involved in. And I think being empathic and compassionate, trying to teach that or emphasizing that more in the workplace, where employees can, that have a grievance, have a complaint about something, can be listened to in an empathic way. And maybe if I can reduce one more event from happening or helping people in their lives, I think it'll be well worth it. So thanks.
Thank you, John. Colin, would you please go?
Yes, it was a bit of a wake-up call for me at the beginning. I'm relatively new to empathy circles, that my listening skills weren't as good as I thought they were. I've seen progress along the way, and what I've really valued is the feedback that I've gotten from people, including today. It's been valuable, and I'm learning from it, and it's also giving me more self-belief that I can that I can go further with this and improve even more. Yes, so that, and connecting with people, that's been really important, and the empathy buddies, not just the circles, that's been good, really good as well. My next plan, or what I'm planning to do next, is to introduce empathy circles into the emotional intelligence community that I'm part of, an EQ community. There's someone else in that community who also is trained in empathy circle facilitation. So we're going to use that maybe for conflict resolution, or just as a practice, a regular practice, perhaps. And also, I'm a coach, and I think that I can apply the skills of empathic listening as a coach and really raise my game as a coach as well. So I'm really happy about that.
Thank you, Colin. And DJ, would you go next?
Yeah, it's been really great for me. It's transformational. It's some research that I started about 24 years ago about empathy, and can empathy be taught? I'm doing some integration with true storytelling and the Peace Alliance. I found empathy circles through the Peace Alliance. So we're going to continue to integrate at the different levels in the Peace Alliance, which is very nice. Eventually, I would like to have empathy circles with people who have felonies on their record and have been released from incarceration, to find ways to sort of give them the space to express themselves in a safe space, to help them through my charity that serves them. I see a lot of potential here. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, DJ. Crystal, would you please go?
Yeah, I hear so much inspiration in each of you, and that's what this whole experience has been for me. I feel very inspired, and in terms of next steps, I see the power of this to be implemented in every institution and every environment, from our schools to our workplace, and certainly into our homes. And I think that it is healing, and I don't have an end destination, but just thankful to be a part of the process.
Thank you, Crystal. Tanya, would you go first? Go next. Nice. Are you here? Is she here? Tanya? Okay. I'll go with Sally. Would you go next, please?
Okay. Well, it's been kind of a voyage on learning how to listen, and I don't think that's a good thing to say out loud, but and as far as listening and the fluctuations of listening well and working towards fluid listening skills. And then I work with Bill on doing kind of some writing that will teach children feelings and values. And it's part of empathy game. Anyway, Thursdays at 10 in Pacific Standard Time. And really, I started this all to improve my family interactions And as I said, it's a fluctuation between becoming more fluid.
Thank you, Sally. Matthew Osu, will you please go? Are you here?
I think he left.
Okay, maybe he'll come back. Meanwhile, Leo, would you please go?
Yes, as I mentioned before, I value the buddy calls between our training sessions. I will bring listening skills into my everyday conversation, insofar as I converse at all, instead of lost in my own thoughts. I will listen for and articulate feelings in conversation and in poetry. Empathy is feeling, compassion, as well as sharing another's feeling of joy. Down the road, I will facilitate formal training among local churches, and I appreciate the circles with just 4 or 5 persons for optimal participation.
Thank you, Leo. I don't see Matthew, don't see Osu. So I will end this and pass on to Larry.
Thank you, Celine. Okay. So now we'll ask if there are any of the trainers have a final trainer comment.
Have some comments. So I'm grateful for everyone taking part in this training. Want to let you know that next week in this time slot, we'll be having an empathy ongoing. Actually, we'll be having empathy circles, open empathy circles that you can drop in on. It's a good place to come and be able to practice facilitating. It depends on the size of the group. If we have a large group, you can come and we'll have you practice your facilitation with new people. Also, we have the next training starts in October 24th. It's a Monday, so that'll be the next training, and want to invite you to come take part. If you're a participant in this one, to come be a trainee and learn how to do the full course to become a trainer. It is the full training is to become a trainer. So that's like taking the training 5 times, once as a participant and about 4 times as a trainee, and then you become a trainer of it. So we're trying to get as many people trained in this and to become trainers as possible. And the other thing is remember to donate. This work is really by donation, and we're trying to spread it as widely as possible, and really that your donations do help. So that's it for me. Thanks, everyone. Really grateful for your participation.
Thank you, Edwin. So we'll just review what we did today.
Bill had his hand up there.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay, Larry. No problem. Anyway, just quickly, especially for Kathleen, I put a link there to a document that shows about, talks about research on empathy in schools. And then, if you want to contact me, there's my email and my Thursday session. That's it. Thanks, Larry. Go ahead.
And one thing, Larry, I put the other link in there. That's the eval. There's a feedback form after each session. We ask you to fill out the session feedback, but there is a final session evaluation. So that's the one, if you want to click on that eval 12E, that's the one, the last one to fill out.
Thank you. So we'll review what we did in this final session. We held a final empathy circle with a focus on integrating our experiences and learning. We harvested our feedback about the benefits of the training. We also shared in our intentions for hosting future empathy circles and contributing to building a culture of empathy. And now we'll post some links in the chat for our assignment. And there's a note, we'll have a final Empathy Buddy call. Also, please remember to donate. And if you would please type one of your feelings, a feeling, into the chat. And then we'll do our final jazz hands celebration. Energized, grateful, content, appreciation, sad, oh, complete, joyful.
I think Celine had something she wanted to say. Was that?
Well, I saw that Matthew Osu had come back, and I wondered if we had, because an extra moment to hear from him.
Absolutely.
But now I don't.
He's joining. He's in the process of joining. Sometimes it takes his connection a little while to connect.
Okay.
It says joining. I don't know if he's gonna.
Huge acknowledgement to Matthew for his persistence with the internet challenge of coming from obviously around the world. Huge acknowledgement to Matthew for his persistence and not giving up. Keep coming back. It works if you work it.
Yeah, I think he dropped out again. So it's really had trouble connecting.
So we'll do our final jazz hands and we'll get a photo of Matthew's jazz hands and we'll Photoshop.
Okay, energetic one. Goodbye, everybody. See you next time. See you in the next training.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you all for being
Thank
here.
you. Thank you so much. See you.
Thank you, everyone.
Cheers.
Best wishes to everyone.
Thank you
Bye,
Bye,
Colin.
everyone.
Take care, be well.
Bye. It's
Bye,
lovely.
Erin, Kathleen, Sally, DJ, Jonathan, Diane,
Thank you.
Crystal. Oh, I have to record.